to get this season kicked off. I've been very pleased where we've been so far in camp. Fun to watch this team, like I say, develop its own identity and personality, work ethic, and how they interact with each other, interact with new coaches, interact, just in all parts and phases that an organization has to be together. Been a great group. I see a lot of leadership. I see a lot of maturity in young guys that's got me excited. You don't have a lot of knucklehead things that are going on that you do with a lot of youngsters, even the freshmen, sophomores, really biting it. And I think a lot of that has to do with our leadership of our team. Our juniors and seniors are doing a tremendous job of imposing their will on guys and just taking them under their wing, getting them to do things the right way, showing them that can lead by example. This is the standard in which we want things done here. This is the standard in which we do things here. And this is just how we do things here. And I think from that standpoint, it's been very fun to watch the interaction, which I think has been really, really good. And very excited about it. But we have a lot of work to do. We have some young guys that are emerging in roles that I'm very anxious to see and how they play and accept that responsibility, not just at quarterback, but all over the place. I mean, just at other positions. And developing the physicality of the game and how we're pushing through things so far has been good. We'll find out probably in the next week, week and a half, because these are when the dog days really set in. How much you love football as compared to how much you love being a football player. And that's what we always challenge them with. I mean, these are the days in which you develop a lot of that, and you get a good feel for how some of your young guys, as the newness wears off of practice, how really ready they will be early. So from that standpoint, it's going to be a very exciting week. We've been very pleased with the practices so far. Really have. Made a lot of progress in all areas. Kickers have kicked the ball very well. I think we'll have good coverage teams and return teams. I think we have great very young guys with dynamic with the ball, along with some older guys that I think I'm anxious to watch and get the ball to. Offense and special teams. I think defense, some of these young guys are really, jumping out there and just competing. I love their demeanor of how they compete. And even if they make a mistake, how they get right back up and go at it. And you see the athleticism, being able to play and cover them, or get off a block, or some of these young guys that can block. And these guys, this is a very good group of freshmen too, and these young guys are really developing. So anxious from that way. So, I like our team so far. We've got a lot of work to do between now and that opening game of Pitt, which I think will be a huge challenge. Question?
What was it about Coach Pruitt that you wanted him in your coordinator?
Well, I think I've known Jeremy. I know his demeanor. I know his background. I know football is very, very important to him. And people don't, sometimes guys like to be coaches. They have a lot of other things to do, which is important too. But I think understanding the role of a football coach. He grew up as a son of a football coach, so he understands the life, time, the commitments, the different things that go on. And then I've watched him coach before. I know he's a very bright guy. I thought he got the big picture of things. Wasn't very, as I say, sees life through a straw, or sees even defense through a straw. How it fits in overall to the whole team concept of what you do. Very, very good position coach, has had success. Know the knowledge of the game, know who he's coached with, people he's been around. They have a lot of the same philosophies and beliefs in which I do. Then after you sit down and did an interview with him, I think his personality is dynamic, and that he can always, a lot of times guys with no ball can do it all, but they got to get it across. They got to lead. They got to have that personality. They got to have presence. And I think he had all those things. I think he's going to be a great young coach and has a chance to be for a long time.
Jimbo, everybody knows the height, weight, and the arm strength that Jameis has. But if you strip that away, what intangibles does he have that you like the most and that you think is going to lead to any potential success he's going to have?
Well, I think he's very competitive. I think he's instinctive. And I think he takes coaching. I mean, I think you can coach him. And what I'm saying is he's not afraid to say I'm wrong. Okay, I missed it. Okay, and I correct it. Because there's mistakes. The first thing to correcting mistakes, and people don't realize it, whether it's just him or anybody else, you have to admit it. Then you have to learn from them, and you don't repeat them. And I think that's in the coaches, players, everything. I think that's things you have to do. And I think he does that very well. I think he prepares, understands the power of preparation, and I think he has poise and presence. I think he has presence. Quarterbacks, when they walk in a room, generally the guys I recruit and like, the quarterbacks, I know within the first 5 or 10 minutes, as far as a presence. If you're a leader and you don't have presence, you have every other intangible. Presence is very important.
How long did it take you to realize that about him?
Like I told most of them I recruit, I know in the first 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes they'll fool me. I say most. There's never, that, but and a lot of times it's a confidence and not an arrogance. I think all the great ones have that. I think great ones have confidence without arrogance. I think they can get that across to the guys that they're leading. You know what I mean? And sometimes when they have to be authoritative, they can be authoritative, and that comes with time and maturity. But I think there's a presence about that. EJ had, Christian had. I didn't recruit Christian, but Christian, he really evolved to it. The great ones I've had in the past have had that kind of presence. And I think that's very important. I think Jake has it too. I say that everybody talks about James. I think Jacob Coker does too. I think he has presence.
How impressed have you been by the way he's handled everything?
Who's that?
Jacob, how he's handled
Tremendously.
what's going on
He's
outside.
competing, and because the outside is not what's truthful. I mean, that's created, and I'm not saying it's created by media or people, perceptions, fans, and you have to, now it's hard because in today's world, like I say, things have changed so drastically. And, but I think his trust in us and what we're telling him and what he's doing has been tremendous, and his actions have proved it. And he's had a very good camp so far too.
I mean, you certainly see all sorts of personalities in quarterbacks, from the serious and the quiet. Is Jameis on the other end? I mean, is he as outgoing as you've seen? Where is he on that scale?
I don't think there is a scale. I think if you're a leader and you're fake, people don't follow you. I think he's just genuine and true to himself. Is he personality more outgoing? Yes. He's not a reserved guy, but at times you'd be shocked. He is a reserved guy. You may not always see that part of him too. There is a reservedness to him at times. You know what I'm saying? So I think you see all different phases, and I think just being yourself is the key thing, and I think that's why I'll never take that away from any of our quarterbacks. There's not a cookie cutter quarterback to me out there. I don't believe that, because I think leadership, especially, if they're trying to be somebody else, no one follows. Can't do it. I think people follow, and I think he's just genuine to himself. I think he goes off his feelings and what he feels at the moment, but I think he does do a good job of being intelligent about when it comes out and when it doesn't come out. I think he understands how to manage that.
Coach, you talked about leadership. Has Wilder evolved into a leader after the turbulent last couple of years?
Yeah, on the field, Jay, there's not a guy who works harder than 8 and 32, and I keep getting 8 in there because when I see one, I always see both. I mean, just tremendous by example, and they'll be vocal, get on people, but James has. He loves ball. He loves being on that field. You can't work him hard enough. You can't practice long enough. I mean, he was a guy, he would have played in the throwback days when you used to have those 4, 5, 6 hour practices and been happy. Now a lot of guys, they do that now. Now, I don't know if a lot of these guys could do it the way they used to do it. Now they do it probably because that's the way he did it. But he's one of those guys who would love it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he loves being out there on the field. He's done a great job with our young guys and has been a very vocal leader and a leader by example, by his work ethic and how he's done things. I mean, he really mentally studying the game and doing things. He definitely has. I'm happy to watch him evolve as a person.
Coach, you mentioned the kicking game. I wanted to know what you thought, what you liked best about Aguayo's mentality.
They didn't overthink things. It is, as they say, keep the main thing the main thing. Kick the ball, kick it straight, kick it where it needs to be done. Don't overanalyze it. Don't look too much into what part of when it's this, when it's that. And I think that he does a very good job of not overanalyzing and being too analytical. And I think you can do that, especially when you're a specialist, a kicker, a quarterback, certain things that are very technical. You know, baseball players can do it whether they're pitching or hitting or, you know what I mean? And I think that's what you understand, because you're involved with the ball, you can become too technical. And I think he's technical enough, but he doesn't dwell on things, and he's able to move on.
Jimbo, obviously you knew he'd been in an accident, but did you have any idea O'Leary's accident looked like that? You did?
From what I got explained to me, I didn't see it,
Right.
but from what they described it to me, I got the actual description of it. I know it was pretty bad. I mean, or it could have been bad, or potentially
Right.
dangerous. But
And when you see that video, were you like all of us, like, holy crap?
oh yeah, no doubt. First time you see it, you go, wow. I mean, he's lucky. God has a plan for him. There's no doubt, and very blessed. But like I say, that's the thing. One mistake, you never know.
Jimbo, with 11 guys gone and more than that now in the NFL, and virtually pretty much a wholesale reshuffling of the coaching staff, will the team have a different look in any fashion?
Well, our regular helmets, our good shirts, and our regular.
Just
I
in that-
don't know what to say every day we walk out there. No, no, I
You
mean,
guys bring some new things, I assume.
no, but the philosophies aren't what they were. Our program doesn't change. Just like I tell, now how we go about things day to day, or maybe tweaks and turns to it, but like I tell you, tradition doesn't change if your philosophies don't change. How you do your day-to-day business does not mean the organization changes. Now, there may be something we do differently on offense, maybe something we do differently on defense, from that standpoint. But we'll still have the same philosophies and believing why you're successful, why you're not successful. And we'll tweak and turn as we're learning, as there's new, in our business, there's new things that happen in our business. And look at why the teams that are truly successful, why are they successful? You study other folks, the successful people. Why are they successful? Why are they not successful? And in different parts of the country, you have to relate that to the style of play in that part of the country too. Because each body can be different. Because of weather conditions, players, people, your opponents, things that you have to do to be successful in your own leagues. But the most part, we're saying, well, there'll constantly be tweaks and turns and different formations on offense, different plays, different things on defense, different blitz, different coverage, that'll change. But our philosophies of how we go about things won't.
And how about your own approach as a head coach in terms of your involvement, say, play calling, et cetera, stay the same?
Oh, everybody says, but nothing will change from last year. Whether it's, and what Randy does is what James did. What Gossie's dog is even grown more. But it's still the same thing. There's no more time constraints on me. And what we do. If I said Randy Sanders is a coordinator or Lawrence Dawsey is a coordinator, how does that change things? You know what I'm saying? The infrastructure of the program, how we do things, will always stay the same. For right now, until we do.
Jimbo, a lot of programs have gone to practicing early in the morning and taking classes in the afternoon. Your thoughts?
I haven't done it as much. Practicing in the morning is good. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they've done that because of necessity. They've done it because of school. I don't think in conditioning and practice it helps you because you play the games in the afternoons and evenings. I think from a conditioning standpoint and a situation as far as playing, I think it helps you be in the heat to do those kind of things. But I like the meetings, preparations of meetings going into things instead of the night before and having kids remember. Because there's a lot of guys who as you coach, you'll find in time, you have to remind them of certain things every day. No matter what you do. It's how, and individuals with y'all, in any walks of life. People, there's certain things and bosses you have to treat, So from that standpoint, I like having the meetings and preparation earlier before we go out than that. But I've done that. It's not bad. But I think most guys that ever did that was because of the school and class situations and scheduling.
Jimbo, Devontae is, at least to us, he seems like a guy who's a little more reserved and quiet. But talking to the guys on the team, it sounds like he's really tried to make a point of being more vocal and outspoken this year, take on more of a leadership role. Is that something you've seen?
No doubt, and I think that comes from just being comfortable in what he's doing and confident in what he's doing. Confidence, as I say this, in sports, confidence brings out guys as true personalities. You know what I'm saying? And they feel more comfortable in their skin. And you're a freshman, you're trying to figure it out. Man, I don't want to be the guy that screws it up. I get an opportunity, I want to do good. Last year, he went through a very tough time. He had other backs. He had Chris Thompson, who's going to be, was in turn to rush for 1,500 yards. You know what I mean? And you had Wilder, who was playing well. So, he was in that third role, and he had situations in his life. Sometimes, and you'll see their personalities come out as they evolve and gain confidence in his situations in their life. He's got a clear head. Things are going. The more that his true personality is true coming out. He's a phenomenal human being. I can't say enough good things about him. And as who he is, his work ethic. And right now, he is playing extremely well. Extremely well.
Coach, I know that last year Wilder did some great blocking that would free up Lonnie Pryor to gain some yardage. And so he'll do the same for Freeman. How's Freeman's blocking?
Very good. Well, they did the same thing. Chris did. We were in Lonnie. Those guys are very good blockers. Freeman stays about 212, anywhere from 209 to about 214. So he's very physical, very strong, very good blocker. Loves contact. He's a tough guy. So, and you look at blocks, we say blocks as a running back. Besides an ISO block, as a run block, where you're a linebacker going straight ahead. And if you look in ball, you go look in the NFL, when there's 250-pound linebackers hit those 250-pound fullbacks, still nobody moves. They just wad up and push the pile. Blocking is more on angles, cutting, getting the angles to where you go, and that's what made Lonnie, and I don't say it wasn't a bad, he wasn't your prototypical just smash you and not, those days, there's very few of that. anymore. Because guys are so big and strong, even when you block them, you don't block them. They're still standing there in their presence. It's getting the cuts, getting on the edges, how you do things, and getting angles, and I think both those guys do it very well. But now you have to be tough. You have to be willing to put head up, face up, be able to cut, do the things you got to do. And he does that he's a very good blocker, very good pass blocker. Both he and Wilder both are very good pass blockers too.
Wilder said he thought that you should call the two-back
I
offense,
know.
and Wilder three
I know
offense.
what he says. I know what he said. There's a lot of things I think he needs to do too. No, he was joking with me the other day. He was, for different things we named things, and I don't know, he can call it wild. If he runs wild and free, I'm good. I'll call it whatever he wants to call it. It don't bother me. I promise you. No, he's funny. He is, and that's him. You see him coming out of his skin more, as I say. I mean, his confidence grows and knowledge of what he's doing, and you're in the system. All right, you know what's going to happen this time of the year. You know what coach expects. You know what the effort level is. It's just, it's part of, it's funny. See, you guys now get more access to such young players because they play. In the old days, they never played. You never knew them. And what you guys, I think, are seeing more so in the media now than you've ever seen in sports with young guys playing. You're watching them evolve more so because you're paying attention to them. Before, if they weren't in a 2-deep depth chart, you didn't care who they were until they started playing. So I think from your standpoint, it's funny when I watch questions, and I hear your question, you guys see the guys change like I do because you're actually more familiar with them at a younger age because you know them from recruiting now. Well, in the old days, you heard about a recruit. How many times you ever talked to him? How many times you ever read a story about him? You never. You just said he's supposed to be good. I'll wait till he comes to practice and see. I mean, now you guys have done 19 interviews with him. You've seen them at 6, 7 on 7 camps, 5 camps. You met with their parents. You met with uncles. You met with their handler. You got the whole story. I mean, their trainer. You know what I mean? Think about this. I mean, part of what you guys are. It's funny how you guys start asking the questions because you actually know you're actually seeing the guys evolve into human beings and mature into grown men like we are, and you're more aware of it. I guess is what I'm trying to say, and you probably don't even realize it. Because in the old days, you didn't care who we played. And you never had access to them. So, when they were playing as junior, and all these guys, what age group are they getting to? That junior age group. So that's when they've been in it. They understand it. They're maturing. Keith, remember when you played, Keith, I mean, you didn't see the field. If you were a sophomore, you were a great player back in the old days. I mean, you really were. They must have not had anybody. I'm sorry. It must have been That's what Mom told me. No. But I mean, you didn't see those guys. And now you've seen them earlier, you're more communicating, you're watching them evolve and grow as human beings. I mean, and in the media part of it, you guys are seeing that too.
Coach,
2 more questions.
you haven't
Coach.
had, you've only,
I'm having fun.
you haven't had the situation as a head.
So you guys give me a bad name. He's the grumpy one. Everyone does everything. Keeps you away from
You
it.
have people that are.
You haven't had the situation as a head coach, but deciding on the first team quarterback, the starter, September 2nd, how far out do you want to make that decision?
When it's time. I'm not going to put a square peg in a round hole. As they see and the team knows, I watch consistency every day. And the way we practice every day, everybody says a scrimmage. Okay, a scrimmage, but we scrimmage and keep numbers every day. We're good on good all the time. So, I mean, we're making that evaluation every day, the presence. It's not just their individual performance sometimes, how the 10 guys in the huddle react to them. How does the defense react to them? How does our team react? Because that's the leader. I mean, he's the guy that's handling the ball all the time. The consistency level which they have, the presence in which they have, the ability to function within an organization, and then their individual responsibilities. So, I mean, all those things went to us. We're making that decision every day, and we're evaluating that every day and putting them in different things that you won't even see in a scrimmage or even hear in a number. We're getting numbers every day. And the way we practice, it is like scrimmaging every day. We ain't on the field. I mean, we ain't standing behind them, as I say, we're their secret pillow or blanket. You know what I mean? The little one you have when you was a kid. We took the security blankets away. The way we practice them to get them out there. It's in those situations all the time. So we'll know when we know. To answer your question, heck, you'd like to know now. I mean, if you said give time, you'd like, but I've learned this in coaching too. If you start forcing things, usually you can't. You got to let it happen. You see.
You're 20-25% into camp. Is Jimbo 20-25% towards making that decision?
No, not necessarily. I'm trying to keep an open mind on that. And I've made myself do that because I don't want to have prejudices and think things. And I've learned over time in coaching, one day is one thing. 1 week is another. You know what I mean? You keep, and the practices is another, in the situations. I want to see more consistency before I start to see it. And that's the thing you look for, because that's the thing you have to have.
Jimbo, you said trying, and your response to Keith.
Well, as a coach, you do. We all, as human beings, I don't care what you are, as a coach, because you see something here. Does Jacob do that better? Does Jameis do that better? This fits our team better. And also how they fit our personality of our team. I mean, you make a decision sometimes, I mean, a quarterback decision can be made off his surrounding cast. Because you got who you got. Well, one guy's strength is this, the other guy's strength is this. And he can be a great player, but they don't match up to the people you have. You know what I'm saying? But the good thing about these two guys, they're much more similar than they are different in their physical skills. Much more similar than they are different.
Spring game be totally out of the equation.
2 questions.
I'm sorry?
Spring game, what the fans saw, totally out of the equation.
No, that's all evaluated. It's very important because, again, it's actually going out there with people seeing you too. And that's what you don't get very much. That's the thing you got to, still the unknown. When as I say, the numbers on those lights on the scoreboard really matter. That's the thing. You never really know that till you play. No, that is not unknown. That's still a critical factor too. All those are. But I mean, there's tons of things that go into it.
Coach,
And we won't do it as a staff. I won't do it specifically. We'll ask everybody's opinion, what goes on, where they think things are.
Last year, Nick's production jumped pretty good as far as his catching, and I believe his blocking also.
Yeah, it did.
Is there another step? Do you see
Oh,
another
no
step
doubt.
this
I think
year?
Nick can be a really good player. He's really learning the offense, and you're able to move him, to play different positions now and create some things. Which, earlier, guys, you want to do it for something. Not all freshmen and sophomores can do that. And I said this last year. It was amazing to me how many times Nick was our primary guy in our play calls. And he would get doubled, we'd get a one-on-one post over the top. Or we'd get a guy outside one-on-one. And he was our primary guy. And just the way the coverage went and thinking, and safeties and guys making choices to double and bracket, that I said, wow. Because we had, the guy didn't take lots of balls. But situations, and we'd open up other guys. So there's tons of even more balls than that we had going to him last year. But he also opened up another guy.
He said he feels more comfortable. He said he feels more comfortable with these two guys than with EJ just because of their age difference, and he came in with these guys.
Exactly right.
You see that?
Your age group, you got the old guy's going to be a great player, and you're nervous. Am I going to make a mistake? Am I going to do this? He's counting. That adage. I don't think there's any doubt, and you feel very comfortable because like you say, the day you got here, we were on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
Coach, yeah, we haven't had a chance to really talk to you since all the Johnny Manziel stuff happened as far as the autographs. Obviously, you guys are about to do that to 500 people or whatever today, sign autograph. Is this something that you guys sit down and talk to them about as far as?
Yeah, I said, do not take $1.
Well, yeah, I mean, not just that, but as far as just being careful. As far as just being
when that
careful.
3-year-old gives you that autograph, don't charge him. I said, the only ones he charges is medium. He charges double.
All right.
But just.
We're having fun, relax.
But just as far as
So you get for bringing them in late.
Hey, I like that.
just as far as being,
I'll get you.
just as far as being careful though, I'm just saying being careful with what you're doing, with what you're signing, who you're signing for. And
Yeah, I
is
mean,
that-
it's just what you
It's an
sign one thing,
educational
but just, you gotta understand, now, like I say, you're gonna make some little boy, girl, you're gonna make somebody's day today. They're gonna have a lasting memory. Understand the importance of that situation and the power you have. Understand that. But also, don't let people exploit you and be smart enough to stay away from the guys who are doing things the wrong way. And that's constantly, I mean, that is an the sleepless nights I have is because we do have good players. We have guys that are going to play in the league. We have the agents, the runners, the money. Because the thing about this whole thing in sports that I fear is the money factor and the attitude, not from our boosters. I'm talking about from people out there trying to get a piece of them, those kids. You know what I mean? And you constantly in fear. That's where our educational process in the off season. That's parts of. We have programs. I have book. We have a whole segment of our organization dedicated to that to present the education to these kids. And I'm gonna tell you this: it's great, and still they get tricked. I mean, the way people come at these. I was 18, 19, 20. Some of the guys, the way they get to these kids, you never thought that guy was that. You never thought that guy was that. And you're never prepared. You just. And here's the thing I fear most about social media and the way things are going. And you don't see it in college and pro sports, that athletes almost, they go in a shell and want to go hide. And it's from a fact that you don't know who to trust. Who's gonna exploit, and it's not exploit me, just, I don't wanna make a mistake. I don't wanna screw up our team, I don't wanna screw up my eligibility. You know, what goes, I mean, the innocence of the kid is really changed because of the true importance of college football and how big it's become. I mean, we have created a monster, which is great. And I joke about it from social, and it's not, I hate social media. It just, I don't want these kids to make a mistake they regret by making one bad choice at one time. And somebody gets to them with an agent. These kids are hitting things, man, at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And I say it all the time, we say, well, it's part of the game. Well, yeah, but one mistake costs them. I just worry that that's not going to push our guys, and I think it's pushing pro athletes. I see pro athletes backing up. I don't think it's from arrogance. I think it's from they're scared to death of who to trust and who's going to exploit them, or who's going to take a picture of them doing this. You can't go relax and be a normal guy. I think that's why they become hermits to a point. I mean, that's the only thing I fear, and I don't want that. I love interacting with fans, media, recruiting. I really love it. I want our kids to love it, but I don't want them to get exposed to something if they're making a knucklehead kid's mistake that costs them.